Prehistoric Kingdom is an amazing game, but there are certain things that really set it apart from other games like it. Not just the obvious with its hyper-realistic dinosaur models, there's some things you might not know about it that make it truly special, but you'll have to wait until the end to find out the best feature in the game. We'll start with something relatively simple on paper, but that completely changes how you play the game. In Prehistoric Kingdom, your animals grow organically the entire way from infant to adult at different speeds depending on both the species and how much you paid. As they grow, absolutely everything about them changes. From their proportions to their animations to their patterns, they really start to develop. As they age, distinct features can start to emerge like tusks, and there's something really lovely about watching a tiny stocky little ankylosaurus waddling about, knowing one day it'll become a walking shed of bricks. With spikes. You can spend a little bit more money to make your dinosaurs start a bit older, or as I mentioned a second ago, to make them grow at realistic speeds. In honesty, it's a small detail, but it really sets Prehistoric Kingdom apart. It took me way too long to learn about the first person mode in Prehistoric Kingdom, but I keep on using it just to get a different perspective of my park, just how the guests see it. It really helps you find any holes in your decoration, and it's nice to sort of just sit there and see what you've created once you're done. Paths that look perfectly fine from above might feel cramped once you're down on the ground, so it can really give you a hand to realistically build your park. You don't want to build a huge building too close to paths and make it feel too terrifying. You can either go up watchtowers for guests and have a look through the binoculars, or open doors and make your way into actual enclosures. Unrealistically though, you aren't torn to pieces by your T-Rex. This is a feature in a lot of classic zoo games, but that is being used less and less now, so it's really nice to have. And once you start using it, you can't imagine your life without it. Biome Painting is one of those features that does a huge amount of the heavy lifting when you're designing your enclosures. Rather than dumping your animals into generic enclosures remnant of the setting of your zoo, you can paint the terrain that matches the needs of your species. Big shout out by the way to whoever gave us all these different shapes of brush for painting. Really helpful so that everything doesn't look too uniform. The tool is fluid and responsive, and every enclosure can feel directly tailored to the relevant animal, using dry scrubland, lush tropical rainforests, or muddy riverbanks, whatever you want. Of course, it has a direct tie to animal welfare, impacting the management side of everything, so it's a really nice rounded tool. The presence of water itself isn't what is so groundbreaking, but the beauty of it in the game is. First off, the tool. You can place all these different sorts of water that each have their own distinct feel, changing them with the click of a button, and painting them based on depth and size. The depth can be a bit finicky, but all is forgiven when you see how beautiful the water is. It includes surface tessellation, which I have googled since the last video, and I can tell you it's all about the ripples, and also it transitions so seamlessly between above air and below water. Words can't describe how amazing the water is, so you'll have to take most of the point from what you can see on screen. The forest brush tool has a water mask built in to stop you painting trees into the water, which feels like a really small thing until you thank it for not letting you put a swimming sycamore in your swamp. Aquatic plants can also be painted directly onto the water surface, which is something you don't appreciate until you've left half your lily pads floating in Planet Zoo. Believe me, we are blessed in Prehistoric Kingdom. Anyway, the lighting, underwater visuals, everything is just stunning in this game. Water really used to be an afterthought in games like this, but in Prehistoric Kingdom, it's its own unique selling point. The level of control you get over decorating your enclosures in Prehistoric Kingdom is something found in very few other games in the genre. You get to place individual rocks, logs, boulders, and you can be really precise and deliberate. You can rotate them freely and even precisely scale them, positioning them however you want. Because the tool is so responsive, building up natural looking rocky crags or dense undergrowth is so easy. This level of detail means that your enclosures can genuinely look different from one another, which is important for a game like this that you're going to spend hours and hours in. Recently, the herding and social behaviours in Prehistoric Kingdom have had absolutely enormous improvement, and it genuinely shows. Now, groups of animals feel really cohesive as they move together, interact with each other, play, chase, and react to one another in a more natural way. Before, it felt scripted. Now, it feels like they have their own little minds. There are idle grazing behaviours, look-at animations, and interactions between individuals that make enclosures feel so much more alive than they possibly could have in earlier versions of the game. When you have a herd of dinosaurs moving across a big plains biome together, it feels like something real. You can have your own little David Attenborough moment watching them. This is a really tough thing for a game to achieve, and Prehistoric Kingdom nailed it. In Prehistoric Kingdom, the building tool has two modes. Both of them are actually really good. The simple surface build tool lets you get things roughly where you want them quickly, which is great when you're working fast and laying out a new area of your park, But when you switch over to the advanced mode, you get extraordinary levels of precision. You can place objects exactly where you want them, at exact angles, heights, all without the constant fight against snapping and collisions which ruins building tools in many other games. In a game where so much of the joy comes from designing your park, that is enormously important. This might genuinely surprise you when you hear this, but each animal is not a direct clone of each other. Each individual has genetic variation between their skin colours, their patterns, their colour palette, and that's what makes this game so detailed. This feeds into the breeding system, as visual traits are passed down from generation to generation, giving your enclosures a kind of visual identity over time. You could carefully breed a vibrant line of individuals, or just leave your dinosaurs and see what happens over time. New patterns might emerge over time. It turns your enclosures into something a little bit more personal, because no other park will look exactly like yours. I've called the modular building tool in Prehistoric Kingdom magical before, and I'm doing it again. The range of pre-made themed buildings you can place is already huge, and they can be directly customised, but the modular system takes that to another level entirely. You can build your own entrance gates, buildings, all to the exact specifications that you want. The tool is both incredibly powerful and really easy to use, and because it connects in with the Steam Workshop, which I'll come back to later, the possibilities are basically endless. I want to be clear about something here. When I say photorealistic, I mean it. This is a good chance to show some of my screenshots, because the animal models in Prehistoric Kingdom are on a completely different level to every other game in A, the genre, and B, the world. They're scientifically accurate, and they even maintain that level of detail when you get up close to them. The textures are absolutely stunning, the way the light interacts on their skin, and the way the models flex as they move is brilliant. Even more importantly, the models aren't based on one scientific interpretation. We know dinosaurs probably had feathers, and so does Prehistoric Kingdom. There's loads of different ways to look at dinosaurs, and how we look at them is evolving, so they offer different variants for several different species. That level of respect isn't something you find in other dinosaur park games, and that sets PK apart. And then on top of those incredible models, you get to customise them. The level of control you have over your animal's appearance is something that just goes way beyond what most games in the genre would ever offer. You can adjust hue, saturation, and pattern directly from the menu. You can override mutations for colour and size variations, tweaking individual animals to look exactly how you want them to. Or you can leave it up to nature by randomising their traits and just waiting to see what comes out. This, combined with a breeding system, turns every animal in your park into a completely unique individual. That makes Prehistoric Kingdom so detailed that it's completely insane. I absolutely love the Paleopedia. It's slick, modern, and tucked neatly into the side of the screen in a way that means it's never in your way. You can access Nigel's narrator lines, relevant species information like group sizes or terrain requirements, and a genuinely lovely visual representation of the dinosaurs. The importance of science is really great in the game. Prehistoric Kingdom clearly wants to be able to teach you about the animals, so it gives you real information, unlike other games. And it's presented in a way that is actually engaging to read. That commitment to education is really underappreciated. If you've watched this channel for any amount of time really, you'll know that I love the cinematic camera. When you place an animal into your park or click one of your dinosaurs, the game switches over automatically to the cinematic camera mode. It cycles through beautifully composed shots in real time of your animal, just like a nature documentary. Nigel Marvin narrates and gives you fun facts and information about your animal, and it almost stops feeling like a game. You can genuinely, for a second, feel like you're watching something real. It is an incredible feature for a park management game, and I don't think it's replicated at all in any other game to this level. The cinematic camera is one of the best features of any zoo game I have ever played, hands down. The forest brush tool is possibly the best thing to ever be added to any game. I've said this before and I will keep saying it. You select a biome, you pick the type of forest you want, mess around with the density and the brush size, and then you paint. And as you paint, trees and shrubs rise smoothly from the ground with this absolutely amazing animation. All of a sudden, the space starts to spill with really natural looking vegetation in seconds. The tool's responsive, intuitive, and it is genuinely deeply satisfying in a way that is tough to explain until you've used it. If you really want, you can also place trees one by one to get that level of control. But the forest brush lets you create really impressive forests, prairies, mangroves, all in a fraction of the time. This tool makes any game better instantaneously. I love it. Steam Workshop support might sound like a technical feature rather than an exciting one, but the community has built an enormous library of content including custom buildings, theme structures, sets of scenery. All of these things would take hours to recreate yourself. Of course you can, but there's lots of people in the community who don't want a painstaking building simulator, and this is designed to appeal to them. This feature lets you both share your creations and help make the game more accessible for everybody. This game is constantly being improved and expanded by both the developers and the players. Also, it's well documented that support like this helps to extend the game's lifecycle. Therefore, workshop support is one of the game's most important features for some. If it's not for you, that's alright too though. So, this is number 1. You're probably a bit surprised about some old plants being so high up, so just give me a chance to explain. This fact blew me away when I heard it. Most dinosaurs lived in a time period before grass, like the entire world looked completely unimaginably different at the time that the dinosaurs lived. The ground cover was different, everything was different, so Prehistoric Kingdom takes this into account. The inclusion of Paleo plants and Mesozoic flora and fauna genuinely takes Prehistoric Kingdom to another level, because it's not even just a decorative feature. The animals get welfare improvements if you research and use these options. It's just amazing that the game is willing to put in the extra time and effort to get these details right so that your Triceratops don't bump into an oak tree. There was about a 10 million year gap between the two's existence. This is so different to every other dinosaur game because it just feels so accurate. It's science over spectacle. That's why this is even more important than the cinematic camera. So there you have it, 16 features that make Prehistoric Kingdom the best dinosaur plot game out there right now. And it's still in early access. The developers are committed, there's even more updates on the way, and I genuinely cannot wait to see where it goes next. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe and let me know in the comments which feature is your favourite, or whether there's something I completely missed. Did you make it to the end? Comment a crocodile emoji to let me know. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!